screen motion capture, which looked awesome, but could you kind of let us know, is there something contractual why they decided to go with the green screen rather than prosthetics?
Yeah, I'll elaborate on that. Well, to be honest, they started off with prosthetics. They started off doing the Hobbit Arzog. As a matter of fact, the guy who was first cast as Arzog was a friend of mine from school, whose name was Shane Jones, who now goes by the name of Conan Stevens, and he's 7 foot tall. And so Peter's first idea for Arzog was to have a giant guy in a suit. And as a matter of fact, Conan, or, you know, my friend from school, can you believe it? My friend from high school and I both were cast as Arzog. It was crazy. But you know, Conan came onto Spartacus as a character called Sedulus. I don't know whether you recall, for those of you who saw Spartacus, but there was a scene where the Germans first arrived, Nell Saxa and you know, Barry Duffield's character, what was his name again? But yeah, Lugo, yeah, I should have been Barry, killed me. But you know, yeah, there was this really big guy called Sedulus, and remember he raped, or he tried to rape Navia, and then I jumped on top of him, and then Spartacus cut his face off, which happens in our show. Anyway, so anyway, he was cast as Arzog, and but you know, when he came and did Spartacus, I invited him over to my house because he and I went to school together. And when he came over, he said, "Oh, Manu, I want to tell you something. I'm going down to Wellington to shoot, you know, The Hobbit. I got Arzog," and I'd actually auditioned for Arzog, so I was kind of like, "But congratulations, mate! Yeah, I was very happy for him." And so off he went down there to shoot it. Now, I think what happened was Peter Jackson got into the editing room, and he just wasn't happy with the way Arzog felt, you know, in terms of, because you know, the way the orcs are, or the way they were in Lord of the Rings, is they have these prosthetic masks on that don't move. You know, they're very stiff, and so, you know, when another friend of mine, Lawrence McCoy, played like one of the heads of the orcs in Lord of the Rings, but whenever he was on camera, he was just like, you know, and the teeth don't move, and so there's no expression. And so I think that's what was going on with Arzog as well. Like, you know, my friend Conan was 7 foot tall and looked massive, but was just going, you know, and Kevin, I'm doing my Q&A.
Hi, Kevin.
Everybody say hi, Kevin.
Hi, Kevin.
That's proof.
I'll call you back.
If I could interject a bit, you're part of the Maori race, and it seems that am I correct on that?
Yeah, absolutely. But just let me finish though.
Okay, please.
I just want to finish on this. So you know, I think Peter Jackson got into the editing room and he realized that he had a not very expressive Arzog, and he wanted him much more expressive. And so, you know, I got this phone call. I was actually finishing up on Spartacus, and I was starting to think to myself, you know, what's the next job? You know, am I going to go back to building? You know, and you know, this phone call came through, and they said, you know, he wants you to come down to shoot Arzog. And I was like, oh, wasn't that? But yeah. But anyway, so I went down there, and basically, you know, they decided that Arzog would be shot the same way that Andy Serkis shot Gollum, which gives you great character, gives you facial quality, gives you expression, and all that sort of stuff. And so Arzog was born into the CGI world, you know, and it's such an interesting process. As a matter of fact, in 2 weeks, I'm going back down there to shoot The Desolation of Smaug. I'm the last thing that ever gets shot, because they shoot all the battle scenes in live action, and then I go in there and create the whole CGI version of Arzog, which is then imprinted upon the actual film. You know, it's all added on later. But the crazy thing is I never work with the other actors. All I have is Peter Jackson going, "Okay, Manu, you're in front of a tree. There's a big tree in front of you, and Gandalf was up the top of it, and Thorin Oakenshields. Old Thorin's looking at you now, and he's very pissed." my face. I look like a really weird guy at Comic-Con. and you know, and I'm meant to be this 9-foot-tall orc called Azog, you know, so actually you've got to completely live outside of yourself to play the role like that. You've got to be really imaginative as an actor to fill it, you know, just be determined that you're going to be in that space and own it, you know. It's very interesting, challenging.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, dude. I'm
a Maori, yes, I'm a Maori.
Yes.
Kia ora, my friends.
Yeah, and the reason I asked that question, or I try to interrupt because of, number one, Lawrence is one of my drinking buddies. The guy kills me. And Sal Baker, and it seems to me that the Maori with Peter Jackson has always been in work roles more than any, of the primary characters. And I'm trying to understand what's the reasoning for that.
Well, say again, Donnie.
They're all built.
That's a good way to look at it, you know.
She's right.
But look, I think the thing is this: we've got to accept that we live in a world, and the things that we project upon our own existence going forward or backwards, or anyway, we look at ourselves and we look at tribalism. I mean, the orcs are tribal. They've got sort of tattooy sort of skin and all sorts of things. I mean, one of the very, very interesting things that I thought took place in filmmaking at one stage was a guy called Joseph Campbell, who wrote A Hero of a Thousand Faces, which was basically a book about linking cultural stories to show that we all are the same, really, through our storytelling. That he advised George Lucas on Star Wars, and there's one scene that's on the Death Star where Darth Vader's walking down between the stormtroopers that was an absolute replica because of Joseph Campbell's, advice of the Nuremberg rally, where Hitler rallied the German, troops that go take on the war. So, there's symbolism that appears in movies, like, why are Maoris playing the orcs, is because, in a way it tells a story of like potentially there's a European kind of feel to the elves, and the hobbits are sort of English, and so, there's this sort of tribalism that's part of the orcish world, I mean, you can become a bit, I could go, oh, Maori, I don't want to be treated like that. But the thing is I do realise that that's the way we do subliminally view some of our storylines and the way things are represented sometimes. Peter Jackson said that I was the breakout performance of the first Hobbit movie, which was a huge compliment. And he was saying it's a Maori boy that he cast as an orc. So, maybe he cast me for any reasons where he thought my strength as a tribal Maori helped match the strength of Azog, because I can do a good haka, or whatever, then so be it. Power to me and power to him, and let's do it.
All right. Good answer. Hey, dude, you've been standing there a while. Go ahead.
Hi. On Spartacus, was it more difficult to prepare for the fight scenes or for the intimate scenes?
Well, which sword was I going to use? Lucy Lawless was just such a wonderfully intelligent actress to work with. But, you never had to think about anything else but trying to match her wonderful acting talent. I'd look at her and she'd just, you could just see it in her eyes. She's a great thinker when she acts. Ticking away. I'm just standing there as Crixus going, okay. I'm naked. I'm gonna take you on. I mean, it was, it's just a really interesting process, man. First of all, you just got to accept that this is the role you've taken, and there's nudity involved, and there was one scene where I was brought downstairs and paraded in front of Alethea and Navia and Domina, and Lucretia. And it was a wonderful setup, because there was a woman who was lusting after me, Lucretia, and then there was Alethea with all her games, and there was the woman that I loved, and I was stripped naked in that scene. And It was the middle of winter. And so I said to the director, please don't stay on the shot tonight. And he did. And, but there was just this thing about our show where if you gave it your all and you just committed yourself, the results were extraordinary. And I think at the end of the day, the humility of being a slave really came through, and that's why I had men walking up to me in this Comic-Con saying, when you died the other night, I cried. Because they knew that Crixus had been through a whole lot of shit. I was happy to be part of that. Yeah, that journey was good stuff. But the fight scenes were, really gritty. Like in New Zealand, like here in America, I guess, there's a lot of liabilities, on productions, and then you can sue in this country. So if anybody gets hurt, you can sue. So over here, it's very normal to be like, okay, fight scene, bring in the stunt double straight away. But over there, no way. No way. I wanted to do all of my fight scenes, and we had this system over there called ACC, which is a government-run health system that, if you get hurt, you can't sue, you just go to the hospital and they pay for it. But you can't sue. So our producers aren't worried. I broke 3 ribs in a fight scene. I got onto a plane and came to Comic-Con San Diego, and I was going, I knew I'd hurt myself in this fight scene, but I didn't know it was that bad. And when I went back, I said, I've got to go see the doctor. And I went and had 3 broken ribs from picking this guy up and tackling him into the ground, and he didn't bend his knee, and I landed on his knee, and I broke 3 ribs. But, I was like, oh, good one. Over here it'd be like, oh, God, bring the lawyer. Yeah.
All right. Young lady right here. Go ahead.
Great actor, by the way. Amazing work you've done. But watching Spartacus from the very first episode all the way to the last, when they gave that tribute at the end of the credits for Andy, it brought so much tears to mine and his eyes. I mean, we DVR'd it, rewound it so many times, and we were touched by it. What was your reaction when you saw that?
Yeah, I cried. Yeah. Something about our show is that, I think one of the things that why people were so emotionally connected to our show was because of the loss of Andy, and
Alrighty.
yeah, he's he was an incredible actor, and I'm so glad of one thing. I'm so glad that he was so good at Spartacus that at least his son and his daughter can watch a series of their father being such an amazing man, such an amazing performer. He left us all that legacy, I just think that Joe LaDuca, the guy who wrote the music for our show, and the way that the visual guys made that last credit, the music and the credit, this music that's really arced up a bit, it's like you were going, oh, this is interesting. They're showing all the flashbacks to all the other old characters, and then suddenly Andy, Spartacus. The end of the whole show. Good one, my friend.
Yeah, you're a good man yourself, man. You're a good man yourself. Hey, young man, what's up, dude?
My name is Vincent. My question is, what is your favorite character you have played as?
Look, it's become like a tapestry for me. It's like I have to say, Crixus is what gave me a career. It changed my life. It took me from being, acting's a very tough job, kid. I can't tell you how many times I flew to Los Angeles trying to be noticed by somebody and trying to get a job, and how many times I sat on the stairs of some little place that I was paying rent for and eating a bowl of rice because I couldn't afford anything else. And I was sitting in a zoo in a bird aviary with my daughter. I've got a daughter called Huia, and Huia was just a baby, and she was in a pram in front of me, and I was thinking to myself, how am I going to survive this life and be a father, be a provider? And the phone rang, and I answered the phone, and it was this guy called Rob Tappert, who was my producer for Spartacus, and he went, Manu, this is Rob Tappert here. We really love your audition for Crixus, but I worked with you 10 years ago on Spartacus, on Xena, and you were in a sword fighting scene, and you were hitting our stunt guys. I did this episode of Xena where I played Mark Anthony, and the swords were rubber, and so I said to the stunt guys, let's just hit each other. We were whacking each other, and the safety officer came on and said, stop, you can't do that, you can't do that. We were like, oh, okay. But yeah, Rob said, listen, you can't hit Andy Whitfield, you can't, you know how to hit our Spartacus. You gotta promise me that, otherwise I can't offer you the role. And I was like, okay, I promise. So, and that's how I got offered that role. And so that was the beginning of my career, my friend. That was the defining role of my life. Here, traveling the world in Philadelphia, meeting wonderful people who give me the honor of being told I'm a good actor or whatever, you know. And it was Crixus. Crixus gave me the opportunity to branch out and be a part of this world as an entertainer. Thank you for the question.
Awesome. All right, it's still in your hand. Go ahead.
I've been waiting to fight for the haka dance.
Hey, brother. Go ahead.
You don't have to do the helicopter and break dancing, but I want to see the haka.
The haka? Well, you know,
We'll go before you go.
I'll get to it. I know why you want me to do it. We'll get to it. He's a very good friend of mine over there. He and his family, just fans. We met on Facebook, and they were very complimentary. And I met him and his lovely wife Mary Bell and their kids in New York when I was in New York recently. So, hey guys. Hey.
Awesome. Hi, young lady. You got a question?
Yes. You did an amazing job on Arrow. You're one of my favorite characters on that show. And I was wondering if you read any comic books to prepare for that role, or maybe you were inspired by something else.
I'll tell you how this all happened. I was in Kuwait for Spartacus. We went to visit the U.S. troops there, and just by chance, I decided to go to Los Angeles on the way home. I was meant to fly back to New Zealand direct from Dubai or something, and some of the other cast were going through Los Angeles, so I said, oh, I come that way. So I changed my ticket, and I flew to Los Angeles just for like 5 days or something, 4 days, 5 days. And on the last day that I was there, my manager rang me and she goes, hey Manu, do you want to go in to read for this thing called Arrow? And I was like, oh, my flight's this afternoon. She went, oh, what time? I was like, well, I'm flying at 4. And she said, well, I think I can get you in at like 11 a.m. Can you get there by 11 a.m.? I was like, sure. She said, okay, well, look, just go in there. There's sides in there. You just have to read it when you get in. So I went in there, and I started reading these sides, and it was this military guy getting this guy in a headlock. And when I was in Kuwait, I'd met these guys from the Special Forces, and one of them had actually got me in this stranglehold and almost knocked me out. I was grabbing his nuts as hard as I could. He was a tough guy. All the guys said over there that he was the badass of the Special Forces, this guy. And so he wanted to take out Crixus there. He almost did by the nuts. He told me that his nuts were sore for hours But I got in for this audition, and the scene said that I had this guy in a chokehold. So I said to the director, can I have the reader stand in front of the camera with me? Can I actually hold him in a chokehold? You know, and do the scene over his shoulder like this. And so Rick was like, it was the biggest mistake of his life. So he came over in front of me and I grabbed him and I started getting into the scene and I just wanted it to be real. You know, I like, you know, in Spartacus I love to be real. I love to get crooks that's really into the character. I love to get into the character. So I had this guy and I was like, and do you know the opening scene where, in Arrow where I dropped through the roof and I grabbed Steve in the middle around the neck? It was that scene, right? So I grabbed him around the neck and I said something about, tell me the truth or I'll cut your throat, or something like that, you know. And I'm holding this guy, and suddenly he just went limp. And he collapsed on the floor. Holy shit. Unconscious. This is my audition back.
Oh my gosh!
Is that part of the audition? And then the director went, no, I think he just fainted. Are you okay, mate? Are you okay? And he went, oh, I just passed out. I passed out. And so the director's like, hey, somebody take him into the bathroom. I think he better wash his face. And so they took him out of the room. And I went, I'm sorry, man. I didn't realise I was squeezing him that hard. And I honestly thought the director was going to kick me out of the room. And the director went, it was good. You got behind a monitor, and you played it on the screen, you saw this guy's eye go. And I left the room, and I went, oh, wow, that was different. But the casting director, as I went out, said it was fantastic. And I went out and I rang my manager, and I said, I choked the guy out. She went, well, Manu, we just got a phone call from the casting director, and he says that you're really in for a chance for this. And anyway, before I even got on the plane, there had been several phone calls made, and there was something about an offer, pending. So I got on the plane, and I was actually getting on the plane to go back for the Hobbit premiere in Wellington. So I went back and I went to the Hobbit premiere, and then the morning after I woke up down in Wellington to my manager calling me with a big night. So I was like, you're going to be on a plane tomorrow to fly to Canada through Arrow. Now all I knew, darling, was that I was playing a military guy. I had no idea, and in the audition his name was...
Slade Wilson.
No, it wasn't, but in the audition his name was something else. I can't remember what it was, but it was just some general name, okay, like Bill Smith or something, right? And so I fly to Vancouver, and I get as soon as I got off the plane, I turned my phone on, this message was coming through from my manager to call, so I rang her, and I was standing in the immigration line, and she goes, Manu, CW have already released a report about who you're playing, and so I looked it up, and it said, Manu Bennett cast as Slade Wilson. And I said, they've made a mistake, I'm playing like Bill Smith. This is crazy. And she's going, oh, that's strange. I'm going, yeah, who's Slade Wilson? Honestly, I'm not, that's not the name, they've got it wrong. And then she went, oh, well, it's called Deathstroke or something. I went, Deathstroke? And then the guy behind the immigration counter went, are you playing Deathstroke? And I went, I don't know, man. Who's Deathstroke? And he goes, dude, Deathstroke's like the badass DC comic book. And I'm like, all I know is I choked the guy out there. And then I went and met all the people at the production office, and and they told me I was playing Slade Wilson, and they didn't say Deathstroke, and nobody's saying Deathstroke yet. Deathstroke's kind of like this hush-hush word still. But look, see, I've been playing this guy just as a military guy. The way that I like to act is I like to play what's on the page, and I don't like to project. So I've just been playing this character on this island with this kid. And but when I was at the Comic-Con in Ottawa a couple of weeks ago, I met a guy who had all the Deathstroke comics, and I just bought them all. And I've been delivered to my place in Vancouver, and I haven't been back there in 4 weeks because I've been running around doing all these different things. So I'm going to get back there in 2 days' time. There's going to be like 200 comics with Deathstroke waiting for me, or whatever. I'm not saying Deathstroke. I'm not allowed to say Deathstroke. No Deathstroke. But I'm going to read Deathstroke and find out who that guy is in detail, because, you know, if I do happen to become... I'm going to get ready for it, darling. I won't let you down, I promise.
No, you won't.
Those of us that's been around long enough, we absolutely know who Deathstroke is, and we are more than looking forward to new photos on your table the next time we see you at a convention as Deathstroke. That's going to be as we should. Okay. One from the audience. Go ahead. You've been here before.
Yesterday at the table signing, you kind of gave me a little hint that we're going to see some big new faces in season 2 of Arrow. I was wondering if you can, maybe give us a little bit if everyone turns their phones off and promises not to tweet.
Are we going to do the hooker now?
Or
no, it's not my place to talk about anything next season. I really can't. But I did have a discussion with Andrew Kreisberg, the writer, coming into the end of last season, because they offered me a fairly long contract, and I had to think about moving to Vancouver or taking on a job of Arrow for a reasonable chunk of time, and I wanted to know certain things for myself about, as an actor, I really wanted to have a role that I could, wrap myself around and embrace and joke and Andrew had a conversation with me. At the end of it, I just went, thank you very much, I'm on the team. So I know something about next season.
It'll lead up to something. We figured we'd get somebody to run out there real quick and buy that favorite food over at the marketplace.
Get him a Philly cheesesteak.
That's it.
Get him a
I
cheesesteak.
got told to go to the Amish market and get a Philly cheesesteak.
All right.
Hey, buddy.
Go ahead, dude.
What's going on?
First off, I wanted to say congratulations on Arrow, and then because you said the new contract and everything. So it's because I saw you come back for season 2 just like a few weeks ago, and as an ongoing character. And then I was going to ask you about, will we see you off the island? And then you were like, I can't say anything for season 2. But so that lost my question. So I'll just say,
you just like the sound of your own voice.
I do.
Good on you, buddy. Take your time. But, take the stage.
Yeah, I just wanted
This
to
is
say,
your moment. Somebody film him.
I like my brother there, and he's going to. So you're Deathstroke, so that's awesome. But totally blank. And congratulations. You play him awesome because he's really just like a military man. So I mean, you play him perfectly. So congrats. And
Yeah, thank you, brother.
have a good one. Enjoy the market.
Yeah, good on you. What was that guy? Tell me what was that name?
All right, we're going to let this young lady come up. We're boiling down to the closing of the panel real quick, so we're going to go ahead and let you get your question in and see how much time we have after that. Yeah, can you rotate it down? There you go.
I've been a huge fan of yours from Spartacus and now on to Arrow. I'm just wondering how different the preparation was between the transformations from the 2 shows.
Yeah, good question. The thing is that when I first, the reason why I rang up Andrew Kreisberg, and there's this thing that happened, right? I was doing 4 years of playing Crixus, and if I translate it like this is the best way I can explain it. Playing Crixus was like somebody gave me a grand piano and some Rachmaninoff music, it was like. It was quite theatrical, it was really full on. Every time I picked up a script, it was like, really, incredible, complicated music, it was like having to get your head around it like that. When I picked up the Arrow scripts, it felt to me like it was literal, and it was just descriptive and modern, very modern. So it was like somebody had put a pop tune in front of me, and I had to go from playing classical music to playing a pop tune. And just as an individual, I kind of found myself going do I like this flavor? Is this my sort of flavor? I like dressing up as a princess and doing all that princess stuff, you know. And how am I going to, you know, do I like dressing up in a military outfit and being kind of like saying these few words and being modern and all this, you know, and it's kind of like this. If you were on American Idol and you went on there just being like, this is me, yeah, this is what I do, you know. And then they said, okay, now we want you to sing this different style of music. You went, oh, no, I didn't understand like this. You can't act like that. You've got to be adaptable. And what I realized through Arrow's actually a bigger audience than Spartacus, bigger numbers. It's a popular culture television show. It's very well made. It was just a different tone for me. And I had to realize it, and I had to embrace it for what it is as a modern popular culture piece of television. And then I realized, you know, that you know, because of this huge audience that it's got and everything, that you know, I've got this incredible opportunity in Deathstroke, and then learning more about sort of, you know, this comic world. You know, it's just something that I'm evolving into. It's like I've come from classical music into popular culture music, and I'm really enjoying the process now. At first, I was a little bit scared about it, but now I realise what the opportunity is. And you know, as an actor, you know, I've got to adapt, like the singers on American Idol. I've got to adapt myself to be good at that as well. And you know, anything else is just any other thought in regard to it is limiting. But the good part of that question is yes, there's an adaptation that's going on with me, going from one style into a new style. But you know, like Arzog, sorry, I thought it was in my booth again. Arzog, again, is a completely different style of a performance as well. So yeah, you know, it's yeah. I hope that answered the question. Yeah.
Thank you.
We're going to, since you are in line behind this young lady, we're going to go ahead and squeeze in the last question right here to this young man. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask, at the end of Spartacus, when Gannicus is kind of hanging there and he let out that like last yell, a lot of my friends who love the show kind of wanted to like pull himself off and keep going. Do you think that was like a good end, or would you have liked to see Spartacus go farther than that?
You can probably find Gannicus somewhere in Australia right now. We're on the coast surfing somewhere. So I think we can get into it. Dusty's fantastic. So what was the last bit of the question?
Would you like to see Spartacus go farther than just that end, or did you think it ended well?
Oh, I thought the ending was brilliant. Yeah, you know, I thought, you know, like all the fans sort of really would like to have seen another season. There was definitely another season in there. You know, like you know, I mean, you know, when I look at the montage of Crixus's kind of journey away from Spartacus, and supposedly there were several battles, and then he was there at the gates of Rome, and all of a sudden, you know, there's this love-making scene where, you know, I mean, I would like to have explored where Napier and Crixus might have gone once they forged their own path, you know, where they were out there standing on the hill looking at their future in front of them and made this choice, you know. But the determining factor about our show finishing really had to do with Stephen DeKnight also had another project that he had to address, and they would have changed writers if we'd gone another season, which would have potentially changed the whole flavour of the show. You know, I keep on hearing, well, I wish there was more, and it's like a good meal, you know. You don't want to be bloated and forget what you ate, you know. That hunger that I think everybody has been left with is just a great sign of executing a fantastic finish. And I think that episode was just, especially with the Andy Whitfield at the end saying, "That's Spartacus." You know, it's memorable. It's yeah. I loved it. It made me cry, and I know how it's made. You know? But I was totally lost in the fantasy of it. And I thought for Gannicus, I thought it was a wonderful ending for Gannicus, you know, being up there on the cross, you know, seeing the crowd roaring for him. Yeah. I remember sitting and watching it going like, yeah, Dustin, way to go. And then Liam's death scene. Liam, what a man he became, honestly, like the guy who had to step into Andy Whitfield's shoes and, you know, satisfied everybody, you know, those last 3 episodes. God, I mean, I think he became such a solid man in that role. I just hope that, you know, that now projects him into the rest of his career. He's off doing Hercules 3D with Callum Lutz in Bulgaria right now. So, go Spartacus. Yeah.
Okay. All right, we are at the end of our time here. Unfortunately,
yeah, Manu.
so much about this game we did not have enough time to find out. So you do me a favor and go to his booth, visit him. Go talk to him a little bit more. Don't hold up the people behind you too much, okay? But just say hello. Go ahead and make a purchase. But in the meantime, we are so happy to have Manu Bennett.